Material loss can be devastating, and I don't want to say anything that in any way seems to minimize its significance. The Jewish tradition, as I've often taught, is not an ascetic tradition, and it values people working. It's interesting, the famous commandment about this in the Ten Commandments is remember the Sabbath day to make it holy. But what precedes that is the teaching, 6 days a week you shall work. So people are commanded to work, and we all want to do well when we're working. And when we lose, it is a terrible thing. And I know it. I know that feeling of financial loss. And today, right now, going on in the Jewish community, in addition to the decline in the general financial security of the United States, many people have been devastated who had invested money with this man, Bernard Madoff. So we know how tough that is. But what we learn from that is this: as important as material possessions are, we can never know that they're going to be with us permanently. Just look at the experience of Jews in the last century. Wealthy Jews in Germany in the 30s, Hitler comes to power. They have to flee the country to save their lives. They lose everything. Jews have to flee much of the Arab world after the creation of Israel in 48. Many of these people lose everything. Many Jews from the former Soviet Union come to the United States, a tremendous decline in status. And as we know right now in the United States, many people have lost a lot of their assets, and some people have become fully impoverished. Oddly enough, the only asset we can never lose are the good deeds that we do for others. Think back in your own life to kindnesses you've done for other people. That's the one thing that can never be taken away from you. There's a folk tale told, maybe it's true, but maybe it's just more in the nature of an urban legend, about Don Isaac Abarbanel, the great leader of Spanish Jewry, had a high position as a finance officer in the court of the King of Spain. And his enemies spread reports about him. They tried to convince the king that he was acting in a fraudulent manner, that he was stealing from the king. And the king, finally, his suspicions were a bit aroused. So he goes to Abarbanel. He says, I want you to come back and present me with a precise accounting of all of your holdings. And when the Abarbanel, a few days later, gives him that accounting, the king looks at it and says, this is not what you own. You own more than this. There's not enough here. I know you have more than this. And he said, what I listed for you was all the acts of charity that I've done in the past few years, because I know what my enemies are saying about me. And if you choose to believe it, you will confiscate all of my holdings. The only thing you and no one can take away from me is the charitable acts I've done, the kind acts that I've done. That indeed is our only eternal asset, our only eternal possession.